Good morning. This is Sarah from All Things Neurodiversity. Really excited to be recording my very first YouTube video. I've had a YouTube account for probably 4 or 5 years and never actually recorded a video on it. So here goes. This channel is really going to be dedicated to just what it sounds like, all things neurodiversity. I guess that I thought I would take this opportunity to tell the story of me and how I got involved in this entire world, this entire genre of neurodiversity. As crazy as it sounds, I recently quit a perfectly good job, actually an amazing job that I was very passionate about, to go into business for myself, or to expand the business that I'd already started for myself. And as crazy as it sounds, I am just doing some things I've always sort of wanted to do and been stretched in so many directions that I really didn't know how to do it. If you're a person like me who is like multi-passionate, like passionate about different things and really feels you have different gifts to bring into the world, I just want to encourage you to stick with me, because this maybe will tell the story of how to move from where you are and how to prevent getting stuck in all of the things that you're doing to maybe develop a passion or decide what's the most important thing to you at a certain season in your life. So all of that rambling, and here I go. So my name is Sarah. I through university, really decided that I was going after a communications degree and really thought that I would be maybe a broadcaster. What a 180-degree moment for me to be recording this video and talking here, because I actually never really noticed the synchronicity between what I desired then and where I am now. But I was taking communications degree, working on all of these things, and I actually did, in my third year of university, I did a practicum where I worked in a communications office. And I hated it. It was a dream practicum. I should have loved everything I was doing. I was, writing press releases, doing some things like, working on events, on the back end of events, all of the things that for a communications major really is a dream job. And I really hated it. I couldn't get my mind off of a summer job that I'd worked some years earlier, or not even some years, maybe a few months earlier, working with kids with autism. And that job really came about through my sister. Love my sister. My older sister was working in the world of disabilities, had a degree in disability studies, and when I was looking for a summer job, she encouraged me to try working with people with disabilities, because at the time, and this was in the early 90s, at the time that was a well-paying job, summer job, that allowed you freedom to be doing fun things and not sitting behind a desk. You could be out in the community, you could be going to summer camps, you could be, hiking with your clients, doing fun things, and earning income. And so that was what I decided I was going to do for that summer. I applied for a job at an organization that worked with children on the autism spectrum. And it was the worst job interview I ever went to in my life. It was the first interview where I'd been asked like behavioral scenario questions. And one of the questions they asked me was, what would you do? Sorry, I was just checking to make sure I was recording. Was about what would I do if I was on the C train, which is our sort of light rail transit system, with one of my clients with autism, and he began masturbating. And I remember being like, what? I totally didn't know what to say, but I must have pieced together a satisfactory answer, because that was the job I was offered. And I had applied for probably 100 jobs that summer. That was the only job I was offered. And being a broke college student, I felt like I had no choice, and I took the job that I wanted the least. I actually remember at the end of the interview getting into my car and thinking, I hope I don't get that job. Poor prophet I turned out to be, because that was the job I was offered. And actually, it was a job that changed my life. So, working with these kids with autism, doing this summer camp, I became really, really fascinated. And I actually think like a lot of it was sort of orchestrated by a higher power because that particular job for that particular organization was they had summer program training. And I know now that they didn't have that training for the rest of their staff, but that program, that training was like 2 weeks long of actually learning to understand the ins and outs of behavioral modification. You weren't just thrown on the floor with some kids you didn't know or understand. I received this training that I thought was fascinating, and it really taught me about the autistic mind. And a lot of what I learned that summer, I took with me into the rest of my life. So fast forward to me working in this job that was a communications job, should have been a dream job, should have been exactly what I wanted. And I found that I hated it. And I kept thinking about my time working with those kids. I ended up getting a part-time job, changing my major in university, switching from being a communications major to a psychology major. Yeah, I guess the rest is history. I went on to continue working with children with autism, and then became a psychometrist where I would do a lot of the diagnosis of young children, just confirming their diagnosis that they were indeed autistic, which taught me diagnostic criteria inside and out. I did that for about 10 years, worked at the agency for 17 years, and then transitioned. I started thinking, and this was probably maybe 10 or 12 years into my career as a psychometrist, I started really wondering about some of the kids that I had diagnosed when they were younger, or that I had met when they were younger and first diagnosed. I started wondering what their lives looked like at that time. And I started wondering about their job prospects. What would the future look like? What would their careers look like? And so that summer, and often in the psychology department of the company that I worked at, in the summer we would have the opportunity to be able to think about a passion project. We would have clients that were gone on summer vacation. Our caseloads were usually lighter. And so we got to do professional development projects that were sort of driven by our passion. So one summer, I wanted for my passion to do a little job training camp. And it was to reconnect with some of those kids I'd worked with 10 or 12 years earlier and to help them prepare for summer jobs. And it was shocking to see how little preparation a lot of those kids had received for summer jobs, the answers that they gave in job interviews, the things that they didn't understand about the working world, which sort of led me into some work that I recently left, which was designing a career, like an employment training program for autistic professionals. And I liked the fact that it wasn't just helping kids get jobs, it was more about professionals, those who didn't have an intellectual disability, really smart people who I've worked with people who had master's degrees, who had PhDs, who were very, very book smart, performed really well academically, but struggled with the social nuances of getting employment, of keeping employment. There might be people who struggled to get through job interviews successfully, who struggled to adapt to work culture. And so I had an amazing team of professionals. I had the opportunity to lead that team in creating some really groundbreaking work. We supported, I'm going to say, around 300. So last time I looked at stats was probably a year and a half before I left the work, and our stats were over 200 autistic professionals in getting and keeping employment. So yeah, so loved that work very much, was very passionate about it. But it actually exposed me to companies that had no idea what neurodiversity is, no idea how to support people with autism, and I developed a real passion for doing that work. So, I mean, that was a long, rambling story, but it's led me into my own business where I provide neurodiversity tools, for all sorts of companies. Really, really passionate about all things neurodiversity. Neurodiversity is wider than just autism, which I will talk about in upcoming videos. But yeah, it sort of led me into this passion to be able to create products, support systems for neurodivergent people to be able to advocate, navigate this world in the expectations that sometimes aren't clear. One of the things that I found is that as the world goes on, we're becoming less and less clear about what we're saying, about what people need to do, about what we want to see. Our communication skills are really going down, and that is not serving people with differences. So throughout the weeks and months, if you stick with me on this channel, you're going to see videos about all kinds of things neurodiversity. I have some things in mind that I'm really excited about recording, creating, and some content in mind that I hope that you will find exciting and interesting. I will do a follow-up Q&A on this question. So if people do have questions about neurodiversity, my own journey through neurodiversity, I haven't acquired neurodiversity. I had several accidents, car accidents, and other kinds of accidents that led to several concussions. And in 2017, when I was involved in a car accident, I noticed a very marked, significant difference in the way that my mind processed information, which led to me having to live what I preached and practice some of the tools that I share with neurodivergent people about how to successfully get through life. So yeah, anyway, there are lots of things I'm really anxious to talk to you about, and I'm really grateful for you if you stuck through this video to the end. As I said, there will be a Q&A follow-up questions where you can ask me questions about anything, really, all things neurodiversity, about my neurodivergent mindset, about how to support people who are neurodivergent. If you are a parent of a person who's neurodivergent, this is a great resource for you. If you are a neurodivergent person who has questions about life, success, adulting, getting through this world, all of those things, I am really, really excited to partner with you on your journey. One of the things that I truly believe is that none of us can do it alone. So neurodivergent people, there's this saying in the neurodivergent community, nothing about us without us. I consult and work with neurodivergent people in every area of my life and of my business. But I think it's so important that we are neurodiverse and that we are creating a world where all people can be successful, with neurodivergent people can work together with neurotypical people, and we are all working it together because none of us can do it alone. So I'm really excited to partner with all of you on this journey. And yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully we will talk soon. Thank you.